These 3 things about travel baseball could be costing your son a college baseball scholarship. And before we get into it, guys, my name is Evan Mendoza, and I played 7 years of professional baseball between the Cardinals and Padres. I also spent 3 years at the D1 level at NC State University, even competed in a World Baseball Classic, and I've trained alongside MLB talent. Now, I work with high school baseball players and their families every single day, and I've helped over 200 of them navigate through the travel ball system, the college recruiting process, most importantly, the right way. So you're going to want to stick around to the end, because the third mistake is what travel ball organizations will never admit, and it's really costing families a lot. So let's go over these one by one. More games, guys, does not mean more exposure. Trusting coaches will handle everything for you guys, and then also travel ball alone will not help get you seen. So more games does not equal more exposure. Guys, travel ball sells you on 4 tournaments every single month, right? And that's going to be great and all, but not necessarily great on your development side of things, right? Because your development, that's where you're going to grow. This is where ideally you can get seen. You're not going to grow in your development side of things, which is obviously more on the quality side of your development. Also, playing 80 games a year as a high school baseball player, in my opinion, that is not a flex by any means. It's really about playing those games in front of the right coaches and at the right tournaments. That matters way more than anything. And I'd say probably 90% of all high school baseball players are playing a lot of games, but not necessarily at the best tournaments or where there's going to be college coaches in attendance, right? So this can also lead to burnout, which is never good, obviously, for if you're a parent listening to this, you don't want your son to ever get burnt out, or worse yet, overuse of arm, right? Because let's be honest, we don't want your son's arm to be overused, because that's going to lead to injuries, and that could hurt him, more than help him at the end of the day. So, at the end of the day, guys, what that exposure without intention of what that tournament or what that game could provide you or your player is just going to exhaust your player at the end of the day. And that's not going to help out at all. So let's talk about trusting coaches, because yes, I am a coach as well, but I also I was through the college recruiting process. I played travel ball, perfect game events, plenty of those tournaments. And I also got into the wrong mindset of playing too many games, just like we talked about, mistake number 1 of play. It wasn't until the son of my head coach at Sarasota High School, Mike Metcalf, he really brought it to my attention. He was also the area scout for the San Francisco Giants during that time. I'm not sure if he's still with the Giants or if he's with another team right now, but I know he's still in scouting. He told us, spend 4 months completely away from playing games and really spend those 4 months being intentional in your development. So that's exactly what I did between my sophomore and senior year, and that helped me out a ton. So let's get into trusting coaches, right? Because I am a coach, right? I've also gone through it. So I remember what it felt like not too long ago when I was in high school. Didn't really know what direction I should take either. So trusting your travel ball coach that he's going to help just get you recruited, right? I was told by my high school coach that that he's going to help get me recruited. I listened to my travel ball coaches as well. We're going to help you get recruited. It wasn't until I went to the tryouts to a massive organization that I played with, and I realized they're only going to have a couple of teams, right? But those couple of teams, they're working with about 100 players, right? And in those 100 players, I started doing the math, because they said, yeah, we're going to email college coach. We're going to do all this. Don't worry, just trust us. We're going to take care of it all. Yes, they have connections with college coaches that they trust. And yes, they will pick up the phone when a college coach, let's try drawing a phone, right? So that's a really bad phone. But if there's a phone call coming into a college coach, right? Yes, they're going to pick up. Yes, they want their player at their travel ball organization to get recruited. But again, if we are making, again, this is the phone call little logo. I could probably get an emoji, but if we're trying to make outbound, which if you don't know what outbound means we are the one reaching out to college coaches, not necessarily through phone calls, but also through email. That is where we can't trust that that travel ball coaches or high school coaches are going to take the initiative to email hundreds and hundreds of emails for each individual player. It's not logical that they could even do that with the current bandwidth of also balancing what jerseys they're going to be wearing, or what their practice schedule looks like, or what their tournament schedule looks like, or writing their roster, or writing up their lineup. There's so many other things going on in a travel ball coach's mind that emailing college coach is not one of them. So they're focused on, especially at the higher level, guys, of travel ball, they are focusing on winning. Let's be honest. If you're at a high level of travel ball, I played FTB, you want to win tournaments, because when you win tournaments, that gets more notoriety for that specific travel ball organization. They're not here to help build your recruiting strategy or your recruiting plan, right? So your family is paying for these games at the end of the day, but not necessarily for the recruiting guidance and the actionable. I always talk about action with guidance, because action helps move the needle. Just information alone doesn't move the needle whatsoever. It's about implementation into your son's specific situation. So again, we really need to focus on that travel ball coach. His job is to win at the end of the day and help develop those young players, because that's what this is all about. Obviously, all coaches out there, they want to help the younger generation start from their shoulders, right? And typically travel ball coaches had some level of playing career in college, maybe in pro ball, and we're all after the same thing. We always want the players to have the best resources, the most opportunity to develop like crazy, to really focus on the mindset of getting better and getting stronger and quicker, and just basically, again, starting on our shoulders. That's what coaching is at the end of the day. Your job is to get recruited. Their job is to win, and those two things don't add up, guys. That's where, again, you have to take a little bit of more of that ownership on your own plate to ensure that you are going to get it taken care of. But if you guys are interested in building out a little bit more of that recruiting strategy, you can click the link down below in the description to learn a little bit more about my triple play system, where we focus on the physical, mental, and the recruiting guidance with that actionable advice. So if that's something that's interesting to you, click the link down below in the description. So let's get into mistake numero 3. So travel ball alone will get you seen. That's a myth that I'm going to debunk right now, because college coaches aren't at every single tournament. They can't be in Wisconsin. They can't be in Rhode Island. Rhode Island, that's an I. They can't be in Maryland. They can't be in Florida. They can't be in California all at the same time, right? There's too much travel that will have to happen to go to all of those tournaments all at the same time. Yes, there are great opportunities for your player to get seen, like area code games, like WWBA tournaments, especially in Jupiter, especially the WWBA in East Cobb. Right? These are great opportunities for your son, because again, the opportunities are there for your son to get seen. And that's what it's all about when we're talking about travel ball. But again, going to only travel ball events isn't the only thing that you need to do. So again, if we're going to these events, especially if we're uncommitted. By the way, I went to Jupiter the very first time my sophomore year. I went to Jupiter 3 times, I believe. And the first time I went, I didn't call anyone. I didn't talk to anyone. I just went in completely cold, and I got nothing out of it. By the third time that I went, the third time I was committed to NC State, but that second time was a very, very pivotal moment for me, because that's where I created some level of a dynamic of communicating with these college coaches, so they knew what field I was going to play on. If you've ever been to Jupiter, by the way, it was really cool because I played with the FTB Cardinals. They gave us, St. Louis Cardinals jerseys, and I later got drafted by the Cardinals. But if you've ever been to Roger Dean, a complex, basically, Jupiter, where the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins spring training is, we share a complex. There's about, I want to say, there's about 12 fields. There's about half of them are lit up, so some games are going to be played at night, but there are games literally from 8 a.m. until midnight. It's the wildest thing. And if you know about Jupiter, and especially WWBA, I can't speak. If you know anything about that, you know for a fact that the golf carts are crazy, right? Because there's so much commotion, there's so much going on. So you need to give these coaches at least a week in advance to plan out what games they're going to see and who they're going to actually go and watch. Again, so if we don't have like that strategic approach on how we're going to be communicating with these college coaches before these events, again, that's part of the strategy of going to a specific event, right? So travel ball is just one tool in the shed, right? It's not the entire toolbox. It's definitely not the only way that your son can get recruited. So travel ball will get you, or your son those reps. But again, communication, the comms, that's what gets him recruited at the end of the day, guys. And that's just like the area that I wish a lot of people just started to understand when it comes to everything. So that's where I want to give you a little bit of a bonus tip for sticking around to the end. When you sign up for a tourney, right? you need to understand what tournament that even is. And sometimes you're not the one that signs up. Maybe it's the team that signs up for a tourney. And that's where, when we're focusing on joining a team, what kind of team is it? Is it a team that your son's going to mesh well? Is he going to get that playing time? Is he going to be able to develop with the reps? And also, like, what type of colleges are going to be attracted to this specific tourney? Because if it's in Nebraska, if it's in, Wyoming, in the, the same dates as a WWBA, the college coaches, it doesn't matter where these tournaments are, college coaches are going to go, whoop, I don't care about those. I'm going to this WWBA because that's where the real talent is. So that's where it's really important to understand, maybe with the travel ball organization, you need to understand what that travel schedule will look like going into the summer, well before the summer. Because if they're not going to these bigger events, and by the way, guys, the real opportunity of getting seen is going to be, this is junior year right here. This is senior year. And this is, the summer, right? This is the time to go all out to these WWBAs, to be on the right team or be on the right field. You don't have to do travel ball every single year. You can focus on development in between, sophomore year and junior year. Focus on that development right here, right? Because if we're never developing and we wait until that junior or senior year and we're throwing 72 miles an hour, we're not going to get the exposure that we're really looking for. It looks like it might be cutting off a little bit, but we're not going to get that exposure that we're ultimately looking for at that specific tournament. So if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about joining into my program, where we focus on building that recruiting strategy with alongside the mental side and making sure that there's a physical development plan that is baseball specific, you can always click the link down below in the description to book a call with either myself or a team member today.